Today we are going to be making some pepper cheese steak, one of my favorites, one of my family's favorites. We're going to do it with a little twist today though and make them into egg rolls with a special peppercorn dipping sauce. This is how we're going to do it. I've got some olive oil and I'm just going to coat my frying pan. Let that heat up for just a minute. I've got some onions that I've sliced up here. We're going to break them up a little bit. I've got some green pepper, and just for funsies and some color, I've got some red pepper as well. Red bell pepper, that is. I'll break that up just a little bit. All right, let that fry in there for just a second. Come on. I'm so excited, this is gonna be so good. Okay, I'm gonna add just a little bit, mind you, of some beef bouillon. You're gonna wanna go probably low sodium on this just because there's a lot of salt. So just a little bit for flavor. Give that a quick stir. And theoretically, you're going to want to have this frying on high. My little machine here just doesn't go real high. I'm going to add some mushrooms. You can leave these out if you'd like. I just happen to really like them. And I'm going to break these up a bit because we are putting them in egg rolls. So we don't want them too big. There we go. Oh, it smells so good. Get in there. Okay, this is gonna need just a little bit more oil since I added those mushrooms, and mushrooms will soak up everything. So, do that. Well, I could just do a plate of this. That just smells good, tastes good. I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper. This is kind of a medium pepper. You can do a fine ground pepper. I just didn't have any on hand. So I'm using mine extra sparingly because we don't want it to be overpowering and because our sauce is gonna have some peppercorn in it. Okay, give that another quick stir. It's getting ready. Okay, now we're gonna make sure that we don't want to overcook this because when we stuff our egg rolls and then we fry the egg rolls, we don't want them to end up being mushy. Now, I know with some people it's hard to digest onions and peppers, and you have to cook them a little longer. Do what works for you. I just know that I want a little bit of a texture in there, but caramelized onions would absolutely work in this dish. We had some the other night, which is amazing. So do what works for you. I'm gonna leave mine al dente, so to speak. So they're just a little bit crisp, but they're still cooked. They're not raw. And they're probably just about there right now, yep. Okay. So, I'm gonna take this on out of here. Okay. All right. Now, I'm gonna leave these to the side for just a minute, and we're gonna start on our shaved beef. I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil just because it kind of soaked all that up in there. And I have some shaved beef right here. It's really nice and thin. See that? You can kind of read through almost. That's what we're going for. I'm gonna break that up a little bit so that it's cooking evenly. All right, before this gets too far cooked, we're gonna add another one in there because I can see that's not gonna be enough. So I've got a second one here. We're going to add, because who doesn't like shaved steak? Now, if you want to use a different protein, you could use this with chicken. This would be fine with chicken as well. Today it's going to be cheese steak. Our meat is cooked through, and we are going to be adding in back in our vegetables with that nice seasonings. I'm just going to give it a quick stir. We don't really need to cook it any further because we're going to be handling it, but I do want the flavors to mix in there pretty good. And we do want to get some of that juice out so it's not too runny when we put it in our egg rolls. That's the ticket. Okay, I'm going to add just a little bit more beef bouillon. This actually has other herbs and spices in it as well, so if you have like a better than bouillon or whatever, so go ahead and use that if you'd like. And I am going to add a titch more pepper because this is pepper steak, so it has to be peppery. Now, granted, you can do yours to taste if your family doesn't like that much pepper. That's fine. Now, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball in here and do something a little bit unusual. I'm going to make this little tiny pocket in here. Okay, cooperate. And add in just a little bit of Marsala. You can use beef broth, you can leave it out, totally your call. I think I'd probably use like a 1/4 cup, it's really not a whole lot. What I like about Marsala is that it's got that nice, almost beefy flavor, kind of that earthy thing going on. And I really like the way that it brings it all together. So we're gonna let that kind of air out a little bit before we mix it in and put it to the side. Let's get this off the heat and start wrapping our egg rolls. We'll meet you back here. All right, so this is how we're gonna fill them. I have some peanut oil getting all nice and hot over here. I've got my filling and I have my egg roll wrappers. So I'm gonna turn them at a diagonal. If you're not familiar with how to fill these and you feel like they're tricky, they're really not too difficult. It's just kind of learning the origami behind it, and then you are just flying. So we're gonna take a little bit of our filling. Yes, my hands are clean. Okay, and you know, stuff it however you want, but I've got provolone and mozzarella shredded cheese. Now, gonna wet the fingers down, make sure that they stick together. I'm just gonna go right around the edges here. Now, the way I do it is I take this corner, go most of the way up. We take this corner and we fold it over the middle. Take this corner and fold it over the other side. Now it was looking like an envelope, right? Okay, then we just roll up our little package and make sure to close any ends that might have popped open. Shouldn't be a whole lot, and with practice it'll be great. That's how you go. And then we'll fry those in just a second. It sounds like our oil is ready. Let's just test it with our first one. All right, looks like our oil is nice and ready. We're gonna very carefully stick these nice little bundles of joy in there and get them all fried up. There's one. There's two. There we go. Here's our third. So you're going to want to make sure that you flip them at least once. And you can tell when they're done because they start to either get brown, or depending on your oil, the bubbles won't be as aggressive. They'll kind of just go more like, you know, they'll start to kind of go down. So these ones are telling me they're ready to get out. So there's one. Here's two. Maybe. There we go. And here's the third. There he goes. Need just a little bit more. Okay. Now that these ones are out and cooling for just a minute, we're going to be making our awesome peppercorn dipping sauce. For our sauce, this is actually very simple. Here's how we're going to do this. We got more Marsala. You can do cognac, you can do brandy. I just have Marsala and I happen to like it. Plus, I used it inside our filling. I've got about 1/3 cup we're going to pour in here. Now I'm going to let that simmer for just a minute. Get kind of that the alcohol-y smell out of there. Okay. To this, we're going to add about 3/4 cup of beef broth. I've got probably about 1 cup of cream, heavy cream. I'm going to add that. Make sure all that goodness gets in there, because yum. And I have about 2 tablespoons of very coarsely crushed peppercorns. I used whole ones, and I mortar and pestled them till they were kind of broken up. If you have a better way to do that, or if you have a different way to do that, or it comes pre-made, you can do that also, as well as the canned green ones work well. They're not as pungent as these ones, but you can do that. I'm going to toss those in there and give it a stir. It smells amazing. Now, that cold cream is bringing it down to bring the temperature down quite a bit, so we're going to give it just a minute to get back in there, and it should thicken up on its own quite nicely. Oh my gosh, that smells so good! Since this isn't thickening up a little bit, I want it a little bit thicker. I'm going to add a cornstarch and cream slurry mix. Just a little bit to get it just thickened so it's not so soupy. We might not need a whole lot. There, see that? That's a dipping sauce right there. You want it about like that, where it's gonna coat your spoon okay. Kind of stick on there a little bit. That's how you know it's ready. And it will thicken a little bit more when it cools down. So keep that in mind as well. If you want it to stay like this, you might want to do it just a little bit on the runnier side, because as it cools down, it will get a little thicker. All right. It's about time. Let's eat these puppies. Just to show you on the inside. Ooh, see that? Nice and cheesy. Got your meat and your veggies in there, your onions and peppers. Smells amazing, looks amazing. Gonna try not to burn my mouth off, but here we go. Hot. Oh, yep. Mama gets a gold star tonight. Ooh, these are so good. Let me know in the comments below if you try this out. Tell me how it turned out for you. Please tell me if you made any adjustments and how that turned out as well. I'd love to learn from you as well. And we will see you on the next one. Woo! Mmm, that's good.